All right, my beautiful people out there on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram land, it's your boy Rome. I am here tonight taking a second look at the Sigma 24-70 2.8. This lens so far has been a champion. I took it out today. I didn't have a shoot, a paid shoot, but I did get a chance to get out and get over to our local park, Herman Park, over in the medical center. And I was able to capture some images, and we're going to go over those images right now and take a look at what I was able to capture while I was out. Now, so far, I've been very impressed with this lens. As I've said before, there were a number of reasons why I had never purchased a 24-70 for my professional kit. And one of the reasons, and I know how silly this may sound, one of the reasons that I never purchased a 24-70 2.8 or anything else was I did not like how the lens protrudes out of the barrel. Whether it was the Nikon version, Sony, Sigma, whatever it was, it's just a thing that just really drove me nuts. I just never liked it. I've always been of the mindset, if you could do a manufacturer create a 70-200 and it does not expand or retract whenever you're shooting, everything is internal, why couldn't they do the same thing with the 24-70? But they didn't, so here we are. So anyway, guys, we're going to take a look at the images that we recorded, or say that I captured today over at Herman Park. Now, I've already imported these images into Capture One. And the first one that we're looking at right here, all of these images, just so you know, were all handheld. And this image that we're looking at right now was shot at ISO of 100, a shutter speed of 1/800, and an aperture of 5.6. So that's not too bad. Now, I did adjust the exposure just slightly on this image because I have a tendency to always underexpose because I'm always concerned about losing my highlights or something like that. But even with that, you can look at this image here and you can see how far you can still push this image off of the Sony a7 III. And you can get quite a bit of dynamic range out of these images. There's no doubt about that. So as long as you know exactly what you're going to be using the images for, you can plan for it. And as you see how that lifts up the dynamic range, and you can literally see into the trees. As we zoom in here a little bit closer, we can see people back there in the background. Now, this computer that I'm on today is an iMac, and it is very old and very slow. And I'm also screen recording on it, so it may run a little bit slow. But, just to give you an idea, if we zoom in really close here, you can still see those people back there under all that canopy. And it's going to take it a few minutes for the image to catch up, but you get the idea. You get the idea. So, yes, this is a very sharp lens. It gets the job done. So the second image that I took was basically in the same location. I literally just turned around, and you can see here the skyline. This is a very old hotel. Well, I guess now it's more of a residential area as well. But this has been an old hotel in the Houston area for quite some time. And, now they've, I think part of it is residential where people are living in it, like they're leasing or purchasing, property there. And the other is still the existing hotel. But it's a beautiful place. And, this is one of the landmark statues in Houston. We're right over by the Houston Museum, the Houston Museum of Science, as well as the Museum of Natural Art. It's all in this same area right here. So we're just facing away from Herman Park at this point. And this image was captured also at ISO of 100, 1/800 at 5.6. So I went further into the park. And what we found here is a little small bridge that bridges over a simple lake. I'm going to have to assume this is a man-made lake, but it has been here forever. But you can get an idea of what the dynamic range looks like. Now, this particular image was shot at ISO 100 also. It was at 1/40th of a second, and it's an f/14. So I wanted to see if I could keep the majority of the image in focus. And let's take a look at our dynamic range. We're just going to push it all the way up just to see what we get. And that should open up. Let's move the shadows up as well. And that should open things up pretty well. Yeah, that's pretty bright. So you can see all the way into all of the darker areas. So that gives you a lot of room and flexibility when it comes to editing these images. You can really get in there and design exactly what it is that you want for your final image to look like. So let's move on. Now at that same bridge, I took a couple of different shots, but I was able to go to the opposite side of the bridge, you know, by obviously just walking to the opposite side of the bridge. And you can see here, even in the foliage, there is no chromatic aberrations that I'm seeing in any of these trees, any of these leaves. Let's give that a chance to catch up. So no matter how close we zoom in, I'm just not seeing it. Now what you're seeing right there is just my warning. Let me turn that off. So that's just my exposure warning. But if you look at these really close, let's get somewhere we can see into the sky. That'll give us a better option. Let's go here and wait for that to catch up. And as you can see here, there's no chromatic aberrations whatsoever. So like I said before, I'm very, very impressed with this lens. In a lot of ways, I wish I'd have made this decision to purchase one, a couple of years ago, but I didn't, but I'm here now. So, okay. So I did want to take a couple of close-up shots because the focal distance, the closest focal distance on this lens is phenomenal, how close you can get to an object and still be able to maintain sharpness. So right here, this is just a tree with a knot coming out to the side. And I just wanted to shoot that just to see what it would look like. I shot this at ISO of 200 at 1/250 at 2.8. And as you can see, even at 2.8, once this catches up, now hopefully this will look the same as I'm seeing it in front of me on my monitor on YouTube or whatever social media platforms you're watching this on. But this is very, very detailed, very sharp. And then this little guy popped up and I was able to get a pretty good close shot of him. See if we can zoom in. You can see all the detail in his fur, the trees, the tree. And this image was shot also at ISO of 200 at 1/250 of a second, 2.8. Now, I did not get his eye in focus because he really wasn't the main point of focus in this shot. But just because he came down the tree, and these things are super fast. So, you're trying to shoot a squirrel or something, you got to be on your game for sure. But yet and still, this is still good enough. And I did take this into Affinity Photo just to see what it would look like. Take a look at that real quick. So here's our little buddy here in Affinity Photo. And as you can see, he looks pretty good. Now, if you're looking at this, if you were looking at this on a monitor, you would see that his eye is out of focus where the rest of his body. So let's say the front part of his face is out of focus and then the rest of his body all the way to the tree is in focus. So that just had to do with, user error. So we'll just leave it up to that. All right, so let's move on. Okay, so I did find one of the ducks, and there are ducks everywhere at this park. And this guy, like my ducks here at home, thinks it's a stalk, so it'll just suspend itself on one leg, but that's what we got. Now, again, here's a really good image. Now, what I did do is I did crop this image, and I'm cropping in really, really close. You can see all of the details and the feathers, the dirt around the duck's feet, even into the duck's bill, you see this detail. So I'm going to show you what this original image looks like uncropped to see how much I actually cropped this image in. Let's get that up there. So as you can see, that's a pretty large image, and I was quite some distance away. So this was captured at an ISO of 200 at 1/800th of a second. At 2.8. So 2.8 I was still able to capture him pretty decent with this lens. Now, again, this is not a lens that I would normally use for this type of shot. If I was trying to capture something like this, I would be more akin to 130, like a 135 or 70 to 200 or something like that. And I found this tree when I was walking around, and you could see where the termites have already had their way with it. But even with that, you can see all of the detail that's in this tree here. So you zoom in a little bit, and let me see if I can open this up quite a bit. And you can start to see all of the detail. So nothing is lost at all. I mean, the quality of the lens, the sharpness of the lens, I guarantee you, if you're watching this video, you've seen hundreds of other people who have done similar videos and they've said the same thing. This is a ultimately sharp lens. There's no doubt about that. So it doesn't make a difference what you're capturing. So if you're going to be capturing still life, if you're doing landscape, if you're doing product photography, it doesn't really matter. It just depends on what focal length you're going with. Now, I was doing some experimental product photography the other day, and let's see if I can find one of those images really quick here. So this image is of my 85, and I literally just captured that in a little light box. I have a photodiox light box here in my office, and I just popped the lens in there, and then I was able to get I put the 24-70 on the A7 III and right through the little door. And this is just with the natural light or with the artificial light that comes from the top of the box. And I was able to capture this image. So, and to be clear, I was so close to this image focal length wise at, I think I was at 24 millimeters, that I kept knocking the lens over at a point because I was so close to it, I was nudging it over. So you can get really, really close. And I'll show you here in a second exactly how close you can get to something and still be able to maintain focus. So there were a few other images that I captured. Here's another one of a little stream, and you can go in here pretty close. And you can see here whenever this loads or catches up, this was captured at ISO 100 at 1/60th of a second at 5.6. Look at the detail in that bush. Look at the detail in the rock in the water. And look at how far it is actually from where it was captured. So yes, this is a very sharp lens. I can't say that enough. So here's the final image that I captured today before I decided it was just way too hot to be out in that heat. And, you know, we have to social distance, and there were a lot of people running around in the park. So I was like, okay, that's enough. It's enough. It's time to go home. But you probably can't see the detail, but I'm looking at extreme detail in every fiber of this rope. I can see, you know, the different colorations and things that have been exposed to the sun. You see all of that discoloration as far as, you know, the length of time it's been out, even the discoloration in the bamboo. So this one was captured at an ISO of 100, f4 at 1/60th of a second. Okay. So like I said, guys, you know, this is a amazing lens. So if this is something that you guys are considering purchasing, it's worth the money. And another thing that you may want to look into, and I purchased actually one of my lenses before from Sigma on their refurbished program. So you can go onto Sigma's website and you can look for some of these lenses that have been refurbished, and they'll sell them for a significant discount, and they still offer a warranty. So it's not like you're losing out on anything. So anyway, guys, I want to do this really quick video and get this stuff out to you guys and give you my opinions, my furtherance of opinions on this lens. If you are in the market for this type of lens, it's worth the money. This lens is as good as the G Master, in my opinion, for the things that I shoot at half the price. So if you can afford it, you cannot go wrong. All right, guys, it's been your guy, Rome. I will catch you guys in the next video, podcast, Instagram post, whatever it may be. I will see you guys soon. Don't forget to like, comment, and until next time, peace. I'm out.